everybody, welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Mike, and today we're looking at a new war game, Company of Heroes. And a quick thank you to Bad Crow Games for sending me a review copy of this one, as well as the first terrain pack, which is where these really cool building miniatures come from. And by the way, this is a very zoomed out view of everything because this board is massive. They do have some scenarios where you only use one board, but most have two boards put together like we have here. And yeah, it's kind of eating my table, and I don't know if it's ever going to recover. But this game, which has been delivering from Kickstarter recently, and I think is going to have a 1.5 Kickstarter with new content. It's primarily a competitive game, but they have a solo and co-op expansion, and that's what I'm going to show you today. A solo playthrough, me against the AI. And if you'd like to hear my thoughts on the solo and co-op play in this one, check out the separate review video, should have dropped the same day. And like usual, I'm going to start out with an overview of the gameplay, and then I'll do a full solo playthrough. Feel free to use the timestamps, the chapters, to skip to any part of that. And if you like the content here at the One Stop Co-op Shop, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You get early access to our videos. You can also join our Discord for some great conversations, listen to our weekly podcast, check out our separate streaming channel. We have a lot going on, and we'd love to see you be a part of it. So zooming in a bit, Company of Heroes is a competitive tactical kind of skirmish game. You and the AI will be putting out a variety of units like the little infantry tray I have here, and only one unit can be in a given hex at a time. And they're going to be moving around to these control points. They have both an icon on the board, and also from the terrain pack, they have these little flag holders. And if you have the right units on one of these hexes at the end of a round, generally infantry units, you get to capture it and take your flag. And that's going to affect your player board and your income and your stockpiles. You have manpower and weaponry and fuel. Manpower and fuel are mainly used to bring in infantry and armored vehicles, whereas your bullets and weapons are used to upgrade your units. And you start with one income of each, but as you get those control points I mentioned, you're going to increase it, and your stockpiles will build up, and you'll spend them to summon troops and bring them into the battle at the end of each round. But the key thing you're after, especially in solo and co-op, are these victory point hexes, because every round you hold those and have your income higher for them, you're going to gain victory points. And in solo and co-op, you're basically on a timer. Every round, a token is going to move on the enemy commander card. This is just one of them. I'm using the mobile commander, which is one of the medium difficulty ones. And if their token reaches the defeat space, so basically if you go beyond 8 rounds, you lose immediately. And you have to get the indicated number of victory points before that happens, in this case 12, which again means capturing and holding those victory point hexes while the AI tries to blast you away. Now in the competitive game, you also get victory points for defeating enemy units, but no such luck here. You will get experience, which is another way to upgrade your units, but it's all about those victory point hexes and controlling them. Now the steps of a round are pretty straightforward. Let's go through them. First, you have the maneuver phase where you and the enemy will move your units, and it's kind of a you go, I go structure. I can use up to 3 of my maneuvers, and then the enemy can use up to 3 or 4 or 5, depending on what their level is. And we go back and forth like that until we've each had 3 turns, 3 chances to move our units, but generally speaking, barring special powers, a given unit can only use up to 3 maneuvers, move up to 3 hexes in a given turn, and you keep the cubes with them to show how much they've moved. So in this case, I wouldn't be able to move these infantry anymore until the next round. Then you get into the damage phase, and there's a few steps, but in the vast majority of cases, your units have 2 range, can shoot up to 2 hexes away, and so do the enemies. By the way, in solo co-op, the enemies are represented by these randomized tokens, because you never know who you're fighting, instead of by the miniatures like the player units. And units' attacks will let them put these attack dice on different people in range. Some of them will cause automatic damage, some of them will be useless, like this infantry unit can't even touch this panzer tank's armor. But in other cases, units will get to re-roll the dice that attacked them and potentially defend against them. And if a unit takes enough damage, which for infantry is marked by taking off one of their figures, for vehicles you just put tokens on them, then they are removed, but they can be respawned, because the final phase of each round is a supply phase. That's when you'll capture control points if your units are on them. That's when you'll adjust your income, you'll get your stockpile, and you can purchase units. And each of the armies has this main retreat point, but you can spawn your guys on like any of the bottom hexes of your little supply area of the board. Now, each of the factions in the game, and there are 4 of them, I'm playing as the US. They have 3 buildings. They start with their first one unlocked right at the start, and their other ones can be unlocked during the supply phase by spending manpower and fuel. And this goes into details of the units you can bring into battle. So like your basic riflemen, they can take 4 hits, they can shoot 2 range, they deal 1 infantry damage, they can repair vehicles and fortifications, cost 4 manpower, and they generally have upgrades, usually an experience point upgrade. You get experience points from destroying enemies and also just for hurting them. Here you could get either some anti-tank or more anti-infantry attack. You can also spend your weaponry, that third resource, to get upgrades. And yeah, so you start with a few options, but as you unlock these buildings, you can get all kinds of stuff until you get big giant tanks to bring the fight to the enemy. Lots of fun. So that's basically it for the human side of things. But looking at the AI, as I said, this is kind of a round tracker, but it also shows who the AI summons. They're going to start with 2 green infantry units, and then they're going to bring in a yellow vehicle unit, another infantry. This is specific to the mobile commander. And additionally, you'll see a white and a red outline. This shows whether they're using the Phase 1 or Phase 2 action deck, because the AI's maneuvers, how their units move, are determined by these cards. If you remember, I said it was the human player goes, then the AI goes 3 times back and forth. On each of the AI turns, they will draw a new card, and it'll give 3 or 4 action preferences. Each of these refers to a color of AI unit that they're going to try to maneuver with. And so here it would be a green unit, then a yellow unit, then a blue unit, but they're only going to use up to their allotted maneuvers. For the commander I'm going against, they get 4 per turn, whereas I only get 3. And each of these colors and symbols corresponds to these little activation cards that'll first tell you who you select and how you break ties, which is usually going to come down to reading order. They were inspired by Scythe, if you've seen my plays of that one. And then what they do, like moving towards victory points or moving towards control points or running away, going into buildings, all that kind of fun stuff. Then for the combat phase, they have kind of priorities for how they pick their targets based on what kind of attack they're making, who they want to try to blow up. And for supply, you don't have to keep track of their resources. They don't build up victory points. All you do is spawn the indicated people, move the round forward, closer and closer to defeat. So it's all pretty straightforward for the AI. Really, the maneuver part is the complicated part, and it's really not that bad once you see it in action. Our final quick thing to mention, I said you can get experience points from injuring and destroying enemy units. You can spend those to upgrade your units, but you also pick a commander at the beginning of the battle. Here I've got the Recon Support Company, and you can upgrade these from left to right, paying the little experience cost here. You mark which ones you've gotten with these cubes here, and they'll sometimes let you get new units like a Priest Artillery or like airdrop in combat units. Lots of fun stuff. All right, so those are the basics of play. I'll get into more details as we go, but let's jump right into Company of Heroes. So to start the battle, I get to deploy for free 2 of my basic green units. The little green heart shows they're infantry units. I'm going for 1 of each. Riflemen who can shoot anti-infantry attacks, and mortar teams that can shoot up to 4 spaces away, but have less health, but they have high explosive attacks, which are sometimes effective against vehicles, whereas riflemen generally are not. And I put them kind of in the middle of my deployment area, ready to run up and capture some points. And remember, the AI is starting with 2 green infantry, and their deployment is super simple. You see they have their little retreat point here. They'll always put their first unit on it and then try to keep it as close to that space as they can, going in reading order, trying to stay as close. So if they were spawning 2 people, they would go 1, 2 like that. 3, the third one would go here. If they had a 4th, would go there. Just back and forth, staying on their back row. And I didn't mention yet, but these units won't get revealed until generally they're 2 hexes away from one of my units, which is the general sight range. And once that happens, we'll flip them. Some of them will have negative effects when they get flipped, like hurting my guys automatically. Or some of them will have events, so they won't actually be a unit, they'll just go away, but they'll like blast us with artillery or something. All right, now we get into the first maneuver turn, and honestly, this isn't too exciting because we're too far away to really influence each other, but I've got both a fuel and a manpower control point within movement range of my guys, and clearly I want to get those so I can summon more units, so let's hop to it. So 1, 2, 3, that's the max I can spend on one of my 3 turns. That's the max that a single unit can move. So my riflemen get into the manpower spot. They just have to be there at the end of the round. And now we switch to the AI Mobile Commander. They have 4 CP to use per turn. Now their unit can still only have 3 CP individually assigned to them. They can't move more than mine can, but they'll generally be more mobile as they get more and more people on the board. It won't matter as much for this first round. So I draw their first card, and first they want to move a blue artillery. They don't have any. Then they want to move a green unit with a star action, and then a yellow unit. So this is the only thing that's going to happen. And note that it only applies to a single unit. So even though they have 2 infantry units, they're not going to like move one of them 3 and the other one 1 with this single action. Each of these icons only affects 1 unit on the board. And here's the one that was referred to, green victory point. Now I will note both both the green and red victory point cards have an errata on the website for the company. And I am, by the way, using all the current errata. I'm sure things could change later. And also a lot of the optional suggested rules. So don't worry about this too much. I'll explain what it should be. But basically, I'm going to pick their infantry unit that's closest to a victory point hex they don't control, which in this case is this one down here. And they're both equidistant currently. So for the AI, you always resort to reading order, which is left to right and then top to bottom. So this guy's going to be the one to move. And 1, 2, 3. He doesn't quite get there, but he cannot move anymore for the rest of the round. And next we get to my mortar team. And you might be wondering about this red die and how they're different from the riflemen. Because they're a weapon team, their mortar is currently packed up and can't shoot. That's what the little symbol here represents. But for one of the 3 CP they can use per turn, they can unpack their weapon, get the little check mark there, and now they're ready to shoot up to 4 hexes away. Although note that they can still only see 2 hexes away like every other unit, so they need like my rifles to run up for them to get a long-range attack on somebody. But no point in doing that yet. The enemy is not close. I'm just going to move 2, get to the fuel, and I have 1 movement left, but both my guys are where I want them control point-wise. So I'm going to forfeit my last cube. I'll still get a 3rd turn with 3 more cubes, but clearly I'm not going to use it again. And I didn't mention it, but the AI used 3 command points, 3 cubes out of 4, to move the green guy on their turn, but then they didn't have a yellow unit for the 4th cube, so they forfeited 1 cube as well. All right, for their next card, we got another green star. Now, even though this infantry is closer to the victory point, which was the main thing they cared about, you're going to ignore any units that have already moved their max or can't move at all because they're already as close as they can be. So we're going to pick this one, and he wants to get as close to the victory point as he can. Boom. And yes, there's 1 more movement turn for me and for the AI, but I don't want to move, and none other people can move. So we are done, and we go to the damage phase. But yeah, our guys aren't too close yet. You can kind of barely see them peeking at each other so far. By the way, I've got 1 victory point hex near me. They've got 1 near them. And then the big one that really determines the battle is right in the middle here. There's a bridge with a victory point hex close to both of us. All right, now we go to the supply phase, the end of the round. And first we check if we capture any control points. Yes, we do. So we can put these little flags in here. Again, these came with the terrain pack 1. You just have little flag tokens you use otherwise. And I immediately adjust my income. I now have 2 manpower per turn and 2 fuel. Much better for getting units. And now I collect all my income. So 8 and 5 and 4. And by the way, I mentioned I'm using a lot of the suggested alternate rules. One of them from the website is that you start with more manpower and fewer fuel to kind of keep the game focused on infantry for the first few rounds instead of like jumping to tanks too quickly. So just keep in mind, if you read the main rule book, some of the things I'm doing might look different. It comes from the website and like kind of the errata they have out. Now, the AI will also capture if they're on control hexes, but they aren't. But really, their capturing of hexes is just to make the AI act more intelligently, because basically as they capture the control points around them, it'll kind of push their line forward and all the units will try to move to be closer to your units. All right, now I have to decide what to buy. I could jump right to my level 2 building, my company command post. That would cost 1 manpower and 3 fuel. But man, oh man, I would not be able to actually afford anything. This one gets me machine guns, which are amazing on this map, or anti-tank guns, or a Greyhound, which is awesome as well, a kind of anti-infantry light tank. And actually, maybe I do want to flip this quickly, because they want to have vehicles for a while, and getting an early machine gun team has been pretty crazy powerful in some of my plays of this one. Alternatively, I could get more riflemen, more mortars. My chosen commander has a nice upgrade for rifles for only 1 experience. It lets them have 3 sight and 3 range, so they can plink guys and not get shot back. Or I could get the 1 unit you haven't seen yet for my starting building, a Willys Jeep. 2 life, but yellow means a light vehicle. And this little symbol means they have a speed die. They can move a free extra move every round, so up to 4. Great for capturing points and stuff because they can capture as well, whereas usually it's only infantry. But yeah, you know, I'm worried about their units coming out and smashing me, so let's get a machine gun team to try to cut them down to size, I think. So first, that's going to be 1 manpower and 3 fuel. So there we go. And then the 50 caliber machine gun team itself is 4 manpower. Leaves me at 3, not enough to buy anybody else. And now I do have 5 munitions. I could spend 4 to upgrade my riflemen to have better anti-infantry or anti-tank attack. Or I could upgrade my mortar team to be faster. Or the machine gun team I just bought to have better anti-infantry. And I think what I'm going to do is spend 4 to have my riflemen gain another anti-infantry die. And that's why they have these nice little plastic trays. You can put like the relevant dice right in there. Now I know that he has a bonus. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to try to move him right into the belly of the beast next turn and get on this bridge victory point. And they'll probably be charging at me, so I want to have some stronger firepower to shoot back at them. And I haven't mentioned the giant buildings yet. Only regular infantry, not mortars, not anti-tank, can go into buildings, also machine gun teams. And basically it gives units a ton of free cover against enemy attacks. So certainly a great thing to do when you can. And I should say, here's my new machine gun team with their weapon not yet deployed. What I've done in some of my games is have them cross this bridge to the south, make their way into this building, and then they have a dominant view of the approach to that victory point. So we'll see if we can get them there. All right, so first maneuver phase of the new turn, we'll have our mortar team go 2 hexes to get to this victory point, very important. And we have 1 left for the turn, so might as well start moving our machine gunners towards the bridge. And the AI spawns for this round a yellow, which is generally going to be a light vehicle or like a machine gun team, we'll find out. And they, like the Jeep I showed you, have a free speed die, a free 4th movement every turn, so they can really book it. They're going to first move one of their infantry units onto a victory point space, and then this is a yellow assault move. They'll try to charge as close as they can towards my units. And remember, they've got 4 CP to spend, so they'll spend just 1 to get this guy here since he was closest to it. And that leaves them with all 3 command points and the speed die to move their yellow. And they're just going to come 1, 2, 3, 4. They are zipping towards my closest unit, which is the Rifleman Squad. All right, back to me. I have 3 more command points. I'm going to spend 2 to get my guys on the bridge. And the website does clarify that you can't walk off the bridge on this hex as much as I would love to get them in that building faster. You can only go this way. And for my 3rd CP, I'll start advancing the riflemen towards the bridge and the victory point they want to reach. All right, for the second AI turn. Oh, interesting. They got 1 for infantry to go into a building. So they want to select the green unit closest to an unoccupied building. Reading order breaks ties. In this case, they're both 2 hexes away from that building, but they're going to pick the guy who's not on the victory point control space since he's higher up and further left for reading order. And that unit is going to move toward or into the nearest unoccupied building, breaking ties with either closest to a victory point space or reading order. And this is very nice for us. This building's 2 away. This one is 3 away because they'd have to go 1, 2, 3 to walk around to it. So they're just going to go hide over here with 2 of their command points. Now note that on the final turn, they might get an action that'll move them back out because they still have 1 command point they could spend. But this worked out great. I'm going to spend 2 of my last 3 command points to get onto the bridge, and no enemies are in firing range yet. So at least for 1 turn, I'll be safely holding it. And for the AI, that infantry had his fun, but now he's going to come back down. He wants to get towards the victory point space, so he'll just plop down right here, feeling a bit useless. All right, I guess I didn't need that anti-infantry die after all, because number 1, the infantry aren't even close to me. Now I'm wishing I'd gotten the anti-tank one in case that's a vehicle, but nobody's within 2 range, which is their sight range and mine. So we skip right past the damage phase to the supply phase. I now have a victory point space. Oh, and it gets even better. I've got 2, this one on the west for my mortar team, thank you. And for the AI, all their green and yellow and blue units can capture control points, so they're going to take this manpower one and this victory point one, which again does nothing for them except making their AI work better, because now if they draw like one of those victory point actions, they're going to head towards the bridge instead of hanging out around this spot that they already captured. And in terms of income, boom, I'm up to 2 victory points per turn. So I'm getting 2 manpower, 1 munitions, 2 fuel, 2 victory points. Very nice. And remember, for this AI, I have to reach 12 victory points. And we're about to go into round 3, so he's going to spawn a blue artillery unit. Uh-oh. Now, how about me? What do I want? I have enough to get my M8 Greyhound. That, again, is an anti-infantry tank. Not very good against armor. I could get an anti-tank gun in case that yellow one is a vehicle. That would certainly help me do a lot of damage. I could still get the Jeep to kind of mop up some of the control points on my side of the board, get myself some more income. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards either the tank or the anti-tank. There's a pretty good chance that all of their units will be green and the Greyhound will be amazing. And worst case, I can upgrade him with some high explosive attacks and then he can hurt vehicles a bit too. So yeah, let's go for him. So that is 1, 2, 3 manpower and 1, 2 fuel. And here he is. I don't need the tray yet, but as he gets like upgrades and damage, you can use this to keep track of everything. And I guess I'll have him down here. I don't know if he'll go east to back up the machine gun team or kind of north to back up the bridge control team. I think north makes more sense. All right, but we're maneuvering, and definitely the first thing I want to do is 1, remember I can only go off the bridge that way. 2, 3, I will not have enough command points to flip them to their machine gun unpacked side, so they're just kind of sitting in the building with nothing, but it might draw some fire from the guy on the bridge, and in the building, they'll be much better protected. So there we go. If they survive, they're going to be very nasty indeed next round. As for the AI, they've got a yellow control, then blue only has one type of action, basically just getting close to us and bombing us to heck, and then a green victory point. So the control actions for both yellow and green basically want a unit that's not already on a control point they're going to capture, and usually closer to base when they have a tie, and they're going to go towards the closest control point they don't have yet. And man, oh man, this is like the kindest thing they could have done because look, the yellow AI is literally going backwards, already using up his speed die and 1 CP to capture the control point they left, this fuel one, as they pass by. So now it's going to be impossible for him to get up to the bridge this round, which means I can really fortify my position, get my machine gun active before he shows up. Now they've got 3 CP left to spend, because remember with the speed die, that guy only spent 1. They're going to use it on the artillery. And all of the blue enemy artillery units have 4 range, and they don't care about buildings. I haven't said, but really buildings are the only thing that blocks line of sight. It's a really simple game in that kind of way. And they basically just want to find the closest hex that is 4 away from my nearest unit, which is this guy, which actually would be here or here, but they always prefer reading order, so they're going to go down to here. That'll use up all 3 CP that they could use, and all 3 that the AI had left for this turn. By the way, they're going to reveal for free during the damage phase if they're within 4 of somebody and take some shots at us. So there'll definitely be some bloodshed this round. All right, now for my turn. I've got my mortars back here, and there's a manpower control point up there and a munitions one up here. I really love the manpower one, but man, it's out of the way. So for now, I'm just going to spend 2 movement and get them a little closer to it. And for my 3rd command point, I'll start moving up my tank like I planned. I use the speed die first, and then 1, so he can still move 2 more in a moment. All right, as for the AI, they should finally be bringing their infantry into play. Oh, first they're going to assault with their yellow guy, which means he wants to get as close to my unit as possible, so he's going to actually end up right where he was. Hello again. But now with the other 2, we get a green control action. And this is a little silly. The AI does this sometimes, but usually they're pretty good challenge. He's going to go back because they still want that control point. Hopefully somebody stays on it or we'll keep on messing up their AI algorithms for a while. Now, they only spent 3 command points, 2 to move this guy there and 1 for that. So they have 1 left, but all that's left is an artillery action, and that guy already used 3 command points. Can't move anymore, so you ignore it, and they give up that last command point. All right, last of my turns. I've got 3 command points left. Let's get the tank up as far as we can. And now here's the interesting question. I've got 1 command point left. Since I know now nobody's going to be able to take this command point and the victory point, I'm thinking I might want to jump up here with my riflemen. I'll be able to see this yellow unit, but the defense from buildings is so strong they probably won't be able to hurt me. And if they happen to be infantry, I can really smash them. And it'll also help protect me from the bombardment of this blue unit. Although artillery has the power to eventually destroy buildings and kill everyone inside. So I don't think I want to stay there forever. But yeah, this seems like the right call. So I immediately reveal the enemy unit. And oh my gosh, this could not have worked out any better. This is a machine gun team. I guess they have the same idea I did. They have this little arrow and a pinned icon. Sometimes this would have damage instead. This is a reveal action. When the AI unit gets revealed, well, whichever unit revealed them within 2 sight gets the negative effect. In this case, they get pinned, but guess what? You can never be pinned while you have the cover of a building. Usually what pinning means is you can't move anymore this round, you can't attack, you can't capture points. You are just sitting ducks, ducking your heads in hopes you don't get gunned down mercilessly. To look at their other stuff, they've got 2 range, 1 anti-infantry attack. Yeah, they're going to have no chance against me. 3 life, and they are infantry, so my upgrade is so great now. They do get to pin extra people, but again, that won't matter because I'm on the building. And this means that they have a facing. Most AI units don't, but in this case, they want to face the person that revealed them. Here it's equidistant, so I guess they'll go with the reading order like that. Now, a slightly odd thing is that even though they are now a green unit, that's how they've been revealed, they still activate and move as a yellow unit. The only thing that matters for their green is that they can be pinned by machine guns, and they can be damaged by anti-infantry attacks. So this is great. And they have 2 CP left, and they got a green control action. So they're only going to move a green unit that's not already capturing something. And in this case, they're going to come down towards here. They didn't quite get close enough for either of my building units to see them and reveal them yet. All right, now we get to see a damage phase, and this should be fun. First, we reveal the artillery because they're within 4 of somebody. And at the end of the round, if they're still not within 2, like my regular sight range, they will flip back down. Oh, this is not a good one. A veteran mortar team. 3 life, not too bad there. They can't shoot adjacent. That's what the little X through the first ranges, but they have 4 range like my mortars, and they shoot 2 high explosives, which could just tear this building I have apart. So I assign all of my damage first. My riflemen have 2 range, 1 anti-infantry. Remember, they upgrade into a second one. And except for some special tanks, everyone has to attack a single unit, and I only have range to the machine gun team, so I'm attacking them with 2 anti-infantry. And some attack types will give a defense chance to the defender, depending on which attack it is. So like yellow are not usually hurt by anti-infantry, and red literally cannot be. But you'll see that a green unit like the machine gunners have no inherent defense, so they're just going to take 2 automatic damage from my shot, don't even have to roll for it. So boom, boom, I have drawn first blood. But very important, the damage phase is all simultaneous, so even if I had done 3 damage somehow, this machine gun team would still get to shoot back at me. And speaking of that very thing, the machine gunners are shooting me for 1, the mortar is shooting me for 2 high explosive. High explosive is unique in that you roll the 2 dice and it might do 2 damage per die, or 1 or 0. The reds are nothing. The green high explosive is 2. And the green run used to be 2 as well, but now they're suggesting not doing that because high explosive tends to be a bit too powerful. In this case, though, we got black results, which just means 1 regular damage. So I have 3 damage incoming. And oof, green units have no defense against anti-infantry or high explosive. So that would normally just be 3 of my 4 figures removed straight up. But when you're in a building, you always get 2 cover rolls automatically. Anything except a red icon will cancel 1 of the damage. So there we go. I canceled 2 of the 3 damage, only lost 1 health. But with buildings, no matter how much damage you stop, the high explosive still destroys the structure of it. That is 2 damage, and if it has 4, it will blow up and anyone on it will be destroyed. So yeah, I'm probably going to run back onto the victory point or even away to another building in a second. And that is the end of the damage phase. We do flip the mortars back over because they aren't actually in sight of me. They just flip while they shoot and then flip back. Although while they're flipped, if I get anybody in range, like my own mortars, I can shoot them because they give away their position. And by the way, I've mentioned experience points a few times, and I've got a bit coming. How it works is if you damage at least 1 unit each turn, you get 1 experience, no matter how many units you damage, and then you also get another one for each unit you destroy. So here, I damaged the machine gunners, didn't kill them, so I get 1 experience. I could spend that to upgrade my recon support company. That would again give all my rifle units 3 sight and 3 attack range. Or I could do the experience upgrade of a specific unit, like my mortar team could gain a 2nd high explosive attack, so they're double as strong. And now going to the supply phase, I didn't get any new control points, but the AI did. Nice job. Now they won't be running back to get that fuel anymore. But that means my income for now stays the same, so 2 more manpower, 1 more munition, 2 more fuel, 2 more victory points. Very nice there. The AI is going to get a yellow and a green. They're definitely bulking up, and they're about to get into phase 2 when they tend to activate more units. Let's see, as for me, I am going to go ahead and get my recon support company so my riflemen will all have better range. But what do I want to hire? I could save up to get my level 3 building, which gives me my real strong tanks with a lot of anti-tank capability, and my major that kind of acts like a mobile healing and resupply unit. But that would take me a lot of time to save up for, and I still wouldn't actually have enough to do anything with it. So for now, silly as it might be, I think I'm going to get another one of those tanks for 3 and 2. And also for 2 munitions, I'm going to upgrade my first tank, give it a high explosive attack in addition to its 2 infantry attacks. And that'll be a bit better against vehicles if they show up, or we'll just decimate infantry units. And here we go, a nice little tray to keep track of that. And here you go, just for a moment to give you a bit of a bird's eye view. I've got my machine gunners about to set up and lay down some pain. My first tank is almost to the bridge. These guys are probably going to run away so they don't go blown up, and a bunch of enemies coming at them. I've got my mortar team over there and my other tank down there. So my first CP, this is an absolute no-brainer. I'm going to go ahead and unpack my machine gun, and I have to pick a facing, and then you can shoot in any of like the 3 hexes going out. That's your frontal space. So now any of their green units, like the machine gun team up there, or this green guy that get within 2, are going to be pinned and in some pain. And that should leave me safe to pull these guys back. I don't want to let the machine gun team get closer before I move them. So let's see, I think we'll go 1, 2. And this is the last AI turn in phase 1. They're going to do a green victory point, then yellow assault. I don't think they'll have anything left for artillery. And let's see, the green victory point 1 is going to work out to be this guy. He will move up 1. Whoops, he's within 2 range of my machine gunners. Hello. So immediately revealed, oh, also a machine gun team, which means that I think they can't be pinned. Oh, crud. Yeah, if I remember correctly, one of the rules clarifications was that machine gunners can never be pinned for the AI. Usually only deployed machine gunners can't be pinned. So I think they're going to get to the victory point and take it from me. Dang it. As for their yellow unit, which is another machine gunner, they want to charge towards me. Oh, and let's see. These guys would have pinned the person who revealed them, but it was the machine gunners, and they can't be pinned, so no worries about that. And then they would face the person that they most want to shoot at, which would be this guy. Oh, and actually, sorry, I forgot. This guy is yellow, so he still gets a speed die, so he'll actually be right here. And then I guess he'll also prefer to look that way. Now, suddenly it's super important for me to know the building rules, and I think it just says you can't enter and leave the same building. So I'm going to go ahead and have these guys jump up, which does prevent them from being pinned, because usually if you end a single move within range of a machine gunner, you become immediately pinned, but buildings prevent pinning. So now they're up and a little bit safer. And for my other two movement, I think I'm going to move my mortar team up here. They will be able to shoot some of those machine gunners, which will be nice. I'll spend a third CP next turn to deploy them. But how about the AI? Green victory point, yellow attack, and then artillery. All right, that green guy can't get any closer to the victory point, so this one will go 1, 2, 3. Then I have one more for the yellow guy, which means, oh, he'll actually go here, I guess. And then he'll face this way, because he doesn't even have range for the other guys. That means the artillery still hasn't moved. I'm very happy about that. Oh, wait, no. I'm lying. I am lying. Because for Yellow Assault, they always want to bring their unrevealed units in because they assume the revealed ones can shoot. So a speed die and the last CP for the turn will bring that guy down right to their favorite fuel spot. All right, for my last 3 CP as planned, I'm going to deploy my mortars, ready to blast some guys. And then I have 2 tanks to get into the fray. Although this one can already shoot. So I think I'll spend 2 plus his speed die to do that. And actually, you know what? Even though I'm out of CP, you can always use the movement die. So I'll go ahead and move him up there. I'm not too scared of the machine gunners even trying to shoot at him. They're going to really be aiming for the infantry, but that'll put some nice pressure on them, and then we can try to recapture that victory point space. Or wait, I shouldn't forget, if I blow that guy up, he won't be there during the supply phase, and they won't take it from me. That would be nice. But as for the AI's turn, first a yellow capture. This guy does have 2 CP left, so he'll try to get over to this one. That leaves him with only 2 CP left for artillery. Oh, but never mind. They're already within 4 range of my tank and my infantry on their new building. That old one almost got blown up, so they'll stay where they are. All right, now we get into the damage phase. Let's flip this guy back over. It's still that same mortar team. Oh, and by the way, I'll note that my infantry do have 3 sight and 3 range now, but they still can't see this guy because buildings block line of sight even if you're in one. All right, so I have to assign my damage first. I need 1 more to kill that guy, and then 3 on him. I mean, good lord, my tank by itself does 2, plus a high explosive, which has a chance to miss. But my infantry that also do 2, wow, they'll hit them and finish them off. And then my machine gun team only does 1, but that will be enough. Man, this was a bloody day at the bridge. All right, but how about them looking first at the mortar team, because you go in reading order. For high explosive, they want to hit a green team first. So they're going to start working on blowing up another building here and ignore my tank. That's 2 high explosive damage. Sorry, I forgot an extra damage here, which might matter because they get a free shield defense. All right, the veteran machine gun team can see either of these guys, but they also want to shoot at infantry. And then this machine gun team wants to shoot at my machine gun, but that's not going to help them out too much. So let's resolve this stuff. My high explosive attack, ooh, that's 6 damage because that's a double. They have a little shield on them, which means they get to roll 1 defense. So 6, they subtract 1 because it wasn't red, so 5 damage, but they only have 3, so they're dead. Awesome. And very important there because they did not take my victory point. They did not hold it. This guy's automatically dead because they have no defense and they already had 2 damage, so bye-bye. Next, let's do the easy one. I have 1 infantry damage, but buildings give you 2 cover. And I succeeded on both of them, so no damage on my machine gun. But over here is the one I got to worry about. 2 high explosive damage. Okay, and both normals, so that's just 3 damage coming at them. And they'll roll for their building. Ooh, they only got 1 defense. If they take 2 damage, they are 1 away from death. Ouch. And that's another building they've almost destroyed. They're just not nice to these emplacements here. But the important thing is I held the bridge for another turn. I got a second munition every turn. So boom, that brings me to 3, 3, 3, and 6 out of 12 victory points, halfway there, like Bon Jovi sings. Oh, and let's not forget, I got 3 experience, 1 for damaging somebody and 2 for defeating enemies. My next upgrade, honestly, is not that great. It's called a recon sweep. It cost me 2 experience. And then for 2 munitions during my turn, I can put a die anywhere on the board, and I basically have sight to the hexes adjacent to that space, which can be great when you have good artillery. But I might buy that anyway because, look, then if I spend 2 experience, I get to start building priests, which are these really nice long-range, 2 high-explosive damage tanks, and I get 1 for free. So I'm only 1 experience off, but that sounds really good to me. But you know what? With how things are going, I bet I'll kill something this round, so I'll just hold off for now on the recon sweep and just spend 1 experience. To get my mortar team doing a second high explosive, it only costs 1, definitely seems worth it. But as for building more units, I can't afford anything except a Jeep and a Greyhound, and I can't get any more Greyhounds because I don't have room for them. I could build a Jeep to try to get some of the control points I missed. Or I could just save up. I think I'm going to save up and maybe get like a tank gun next turn. And what is the AI doing? Ooh, they're going into phase 2, and they get 1 green and 1 blue. They're almost to the single red heavy tank unit they get in this mission. All right, so this is round 5 of a possible 8 rounds. There is a mechanic called Retreat that lets me move a unit 3 spaces towards my like initial spawn hexes. And once they reach there, they stop retreating. They get to move 3 for free every round, and they start healing 1 a turn. So I might want to do that with my infantry, because no point in letting them get killed, especially since they got upgraded. Although, gosh, I don't even know if they're going to be able to do anything useful in the amount of time left if they have to run all the way back. So maybe I'll just leave them as some sacrificial people. But I think my first move, without a doubt, is going to be to get my tank in here, so no enemies can steal it from us. And we can start bringing up my other tank as well. That leaves me with 1 more to spend. Oh, and whoops, I'm within 2 of this guy. What are they? Oh, it's another veteran machine gun team, which, nice thing is, since he revealed them, vehicles can't be pinned. So he's not going to be affected by that. Oh, that guy has a free shield, but we saw what happens to infantry units that get within my tank's way. I am very lucky that none of their stuff has been a vehicle yet, though this might be. And actually, you know what? I just had a thought. Instead of having this guy be a sacrifice, what if he runs and tries to get me that manpower point I wanted? So there we go. That's 1 CP, my last one for the turn, and I can move him at 2 more in a moment. All right, as for the AI, they are up to their phase 2 cards, which you'll see have 4 attempted activations and do have red actions now. And they're also going to try to spend up to 5 CP per turn, so they'll have a better chance of moving all of their units. In this case, it's green victory point first. And closest green unit is here, and he's going to turn that way with his machine gun facing my machine gunner. Again, I can't pin him, unfortunately. Second action that applies is an unrevealed yellow assaulting. So this guy wants to get right up on my machine gun, and oh no, it is a vehicle. And a crazy intense one, 3 infantry attack. That might take out my machine gunners. Oof. He's only got 3 life, and he also pins anybody. So yeah, that's not fun. And let's see, actually, he only had to use 1 and a speed. And they've still got 3 more to spend, which is going to go to artillery. And they want to move this new blue artillery that's way out of the way. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. That'll get them within 4 of my tank and of my machine gunner. Oh, machine gunner, you are not long for this world. All right, back to me. We'll do the easy stuff first and get my infantry over here. Hopefully no artillery blows him up. And speaking of artillery, maybe I want my mortar to try to help blow up the armored car. So in the written rules, it says it costs 1 CP to repack up your weapon. But in the updated kind of preference rules, they take that away. It just costs 1 to set up. So I'll need 1 more to deploy it, but we'll wait for next turn for that. Oh, wait, will we? No. I have 1 more CP left. So that's already in range of the truck. I'll just stop there and do that. Now I've got 3 moves left. But first, the AI. No red, so yellow, try to control, and then artillery, and green victory point. Oh, and look at this little jerk. The yellow guy is moving out of range of my artillery and my tanks and everybody, but he can still blow up my machine gunner. Next is artillery, but they're both still in range. So we just have green victory point. This guy's already as close as he can go. So we're going to have this guy go 1, 2, 3. That's the closest that he can get. All right, for my last moves, I want to get as close to the enemies and that armored car as I can. So let's bring my tank right up in the fray, push the front forward, and I can get my other tank guarding the victory point. All right, for the AI, green control, artillery is not moving, yellow's not moving either. Yeah, because he's revealed. Yes, the only one that matters is green control. This guy's going to run up a bit into the fray. Oh, and I should have unrevealed the mortar team, but whatever. And okay, just a basic mortar team. Thank God, they only do 1 high explosive damage. All right, so lots of firepower to bear. Let's see where we're shooting. So my mortar here can only hit the veteran machine gun team. They have 3 life and 1 shield, so I probably want to get at least 4 damage on them. And then this tank can only hit them as well, so that'll probably be enough unless I really roll badly. So even though it's not the right kind of attack, I'm going to have this tank with his high explosive shoot at the armored car. And then who do I shoot at with my machine gunner? Again, anti-infantry is not too likely to hit him. Maybe I should really make sure I take out that machine gunner. Yeah, I think that's the best play. All right, so let's go ahead and resolve it. Let's see how my 2 high explosives do. And yeah, I did miss with 1, so I'm glad I put that second damage. They've got 4 damage coming, 3 life, so even with their 1 defense, they will be dead. All right, how about the armored car? The high explosive is 1, so that is 3 damage. But yellow units are good against both those types of damage. So he gets to roll defense for all 3 of them, and none of them get through. Would have needed a red to actually hurt him. So plink, nothing doing. As for the enemy, the veteran mortars can only reach these guys, which is good for us. But the other mortar team is going to shoot here. So will the machine gunner, and so will the armored car. So that is 5 or 6 damage coming at him. Let's roll for the high explosive first. Yes, a red. So that means it's just 4 damage, and they have 2 from the building. They might survive unless they roll a red. No, so they are dead. And our friend the mortar does 1 damage to the building. All right, and all that's left is 2 high explosive on my tank. 1 damage from each, and he gets defense and does not roll for one of them, so he does take 1 out of 3 life. Well, I think they outrolled me a bit there, but I did kill one of their units, and I kept the victory point. That's certainly good. And hey, look, this worked out. I did get 2 experience, 1 for damaging, 1 for killing. So I'll go ahead and get the recon sweep that I don't really care about, and I'll get the priest call-in. So I get a free priest, and I can build them for pretty cheap now. And here they are, basically a more mobile, already upgraded mortar unit, but I'm fine with that. And the only new capture was this right here. So I'm still just getting a whole bunch of 2s. Isn't that exciting? Well, I certainly know what I'm going to buy. I'm going to get an anti-tank gun to blast that armored car. And also, they have their first red unit coming out. So that's going to cost 4 of my 5 manpower. And then I have munitions to upgrade somebody, but do I care? I think the answer to that is not yet. I might upgrade my anti-tank gun in a second. Here's my 2 new friends. By the way, my anti-tank gun I put closer to the front, and my artillery shouldn't have too hard of a time getting in attack range quickly. And as we head into round 6, we have our first red unit coming in. So we've got 3 more rounds, but 2 more rounds of getting 2 victory points will be a win for us. Or if we can at least get 2 victory points this round, and then 1 victory point for the last 2 rounds, because I don't think there's any way they're going to get my really far away victory point place, we should be okay. So we need to 100% hold this round. So yeah, I'm feeling really positive about this. I don't really think they're going to be able to bust through this turn with their red guy all the way up there and my tanks guarding it. So for my first move, let's keep things simple and bring up my new artillery gun. There's a decent chance he won't get a shot off unless the enemies come even closer, but we'll see what happens. Oh, and the AI is going to be activating their red guy, then a green guy. They might stop there. So their red tank wants to get adjacent to a victory point control, and that's as far as they can go for the moment, so they might be stuck with 2 movement unless one of those guys gets out of the way. And next was victory point, which is going to be that green. 1, 2, 3. You know, I'm not sure if the AI uses buildings. Let's be nice to them and say they do, since that would only cost 2. And it's veteran Panzer Grenadiers. They deal an automatic anti-infantry to the unit that reveals them, which is this guy. But let's roll for it. Oh my god, he took another damage. You are almost dead, you silly tank. And we have 1 CP left for an artillery. This guy's at 3 range from my tank, and he wants to be at 4, but he can't get away. Or I guess he would look at the path closest to getting away, so he'd move here for now, and then next turn he can move away 1, which frees up the red guy to get closer. And oh crud, this Grenadier attacks with anti-tank damage, so he's going to be tough. You know it's going to be a little tough for him, I just saw. Both of my high explosive guys can hit him, so that building is going down, I think. All right, now back to my turn. I think I'm going to get my anti-tank guys up here because it's all about defending that control point, right? So they won't deploy yet. They have 3 range once they do, and I don't think anyone's going to get that close. They're okay where they are. All right, enemy AI, green victory point, artillery, red attack, yellow attack. All right, green victory point's going to be those guys. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, reveal. More Panzer Grenadiers. And gosh, they're also doing an automatic anti-infantry. Please don't die. What is wrong with you? Well, that changed up the scope of my defense a bit, didn't it? All right, next is artillery, and this guy still takes precedence, so he'll go up here to be 4 away from my tank. Then they have 1 left for the red guy, who's going to come down straight towards me, but not quite reach me, thank God. All right, well, geez, I want the Grenadiers to jump onto my control point, so let's spend 2 move to get this tank back to guard. And then, even though it probably won't really matter, I'll move my random infantry guy over here. I got 1 left that I'm not going to use. All right, let's see. The AI wants to move a red, but they've already moved too much. Oh, they do have 1 yellow for a control point. And there's 2 equally close control points, but he prefers victory points, so he's going to get right up in the fray, of course. And oh man, now I wish I had 1 more movement to deploy this guy and just blast him. Oh, I could have done it right there. No, it would have been so awesome. Okay, they got up to 4 CPs left for blue and then green. And I actually got out of range of this guy, so he'll spend 1 of the 3 to get closer. And then none of the green can get closer to the victory point than they already are, so we're done. All right, well, we did what we wanted to. We held the victory point, but that's about all we did, it seems. Yeah, this one's going to be a bit painful, I think. All right, so let's see. First things first for my units. I'll have this guy shoot 2 high explosives there. Probably enough to blow up the building. And yeah, you know, this time I'm just going to hope that it is. And I'm going to have both of the mortars high explosive on the armored car, as well as my tanks 2 anti-infantry and another high explosive. Hopefully something gets through his armor. But let's do the big one first. Will I blow up the building with the Panzer Grenadier? Yes, I actually got 3 damage there. Doesn't matter if he blocks it. Once the building blows up, he is gone, although he will get to attack back. So that will be gone in a second. But how about this guy? 3 high explosive. Come on, give me greens. Ooh, that's 4 hits, so 6 hits incoming. But he gets a defense for every one, so I'm looking for those reds. 2 damage. No, he's got 1 left. All right, but that was the happy part. Here comes the pain. Their 2 mortar teams can only reach my tanks. So that's 3 high explosive. Then their armored car is 3 infantry. This is the nasty one, the Panzer Grenadiers, 2 anti-armor, which I can't even defend against. I've only got 3 life, so I have to block everything except the anti-armor, or I am dead. Okay, the 3 high explosives, 1 miss and 1 double, so it just becomes 3. All right, here we go. No reds, no reds. Oh my gosh, even without the anti-armor, he would have been dead. Bye-bye. But the one good piece of news, the building blows up, and with it, their Panzer Grenadiers. But hey, we always got to look for the silver lining. Guess who did not lose their victory points? All right. So we are at 10. I think you mark it with an orange one here. And if we can get 2 more victory points next turn, or 1 victory point each in the last 2 rounds, we will win. And I did get 2 more experience from blowing up that guy on the building. What do I want to spend those on? Let's make my new anti-tank friend do 3 anti-armor damage at 3 range. That seems fun. We can also spend 2 munitions to give him a free defense. As for actual units, let's get 1 of our little tanks back. That's the best we can do. And what the hey, let's give him high explosives again. And by the way, all the enemies are no longer revealed unless they're within 2 of us. But that's okay, because let's reveal them. My first action, 1, 2... hello, I'm going to take an automatic pin, but I can't be pinned. Ha ha ha. 3, guard my victory point, and the Panzer Grenadiers will do an automatic, or will try to do an anti-infantry damage to me. And I rolled another red. I only have 1 life left on that guy. What is up with my rolling? But at least for the moment, it's smelling like victory. And by the way, the AI did spawn 1 more green unit, not that I think it'll come into play. Oh, I think we're going to see their red unit. Yeah, it is charging at us. And it wants to get as close to me as possible. So 1, 2... Oh, it's actually an anti-infantry one. Flak Panzer, the little arrow over it shows that it's a turret, so it can shoot anywhere. It's only got 3 life. Oh, my anti-tank gun could just smash that guy. And yeah, he's right up in my guy's face, but he didn't do any automatic damage, so I'm very happy about that. Next was a yellow, but he's already as close as he can be. Then the blues, but they're already within range, so we just go to a green control. And they want the guy who's closest to base. So boom, 1, 2, you matter, buddy. All right, back to me. 1, 2, have this one deploy. That's pretty obvious. My mortar's in a good spot too. So let's do 2 and a speed die to get my tank up. I'll need to wait a second to get closer because I need to use 2 at once to get past my guy. So for the last one, super infantry, go like sacrifice yourself to the mortar or something. Okay, AI is going to, red's already moved, green I think is, no, he's not as close as he can get, so he will actually move. Yeah, so this guy's going to go right here, I believe, to be closer to that, which isn't ideal because now he can actually shoot at my anti-tank guy. And then nothing else applies. The artillery is already in range, and yellow is as close to a control point as he can get. All right, so for my last one, I will move this guy up here. And good, he can shoot at those Panzer Grenadiers. And look at this, poetry in motion. This infantry gets exactly 4 away. I think they'll shoot at him, preferring him over somebody else. Awesome. And for the final AI, yeah, none of these apply except the green control. This guy moves 1. Nice job, buddy. So that'll be it. I have 1 at medium difficulty because they can't kick me off the victory point, so I'll get my last 2. But let's play out our final combat. And you know, I just realized this is interesting. I don't know if the priest can shoot adjacent. Everyone else with artillery can't, but it just says 4 range, not 2 to 4 range. But I mean, whatever. Both of these guys flip, so I guess you can shoot them. But here's one I'm really excited about. 3 anti-tank on our new friend. Although he is going to get what's called a frontal armor defense, so it might not hurt him. This guy can do 2 anti-infantry and a high explosive there. My mortars will try to finish off the armored car. And let's just say this guy can shoot adjacent. What do I know? So he'll also try to shoot the armored car. All right, so heavy tanks are sort of resistant to anti-armor if it's in their front 3 hexes. They get to roll up to 2 defense against it. Ooh, so 2 damage got through. Ah, almost killed him. As for our truck, 4 high explosive. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. And he tries to block them all and does not. Boom! Well, in a second. And then our Grenadiers, they just take 1 more hit and they don't have defense to any of that, so that's just 3 damage. All right, going to the enemy. The infantry did its job, taking 2 high explosive. Then this guy's shooting 3 anti-infantry on this guy. The mortar team is high explosiving him. 3 more infantry from him. And the Panzer Grenadiers will shoot 2 there. All right, let's see if this guy can survive. First, the high explosive is a regular hit. So 7 defense. He needs to take no damage. No, he almost made it. As for my anti-tank, he usually would have no defense, but because of his upgrade, gets 1 armor against every attack and blocks it. So only takes 1 damage. Nice job, guys. Oh, and let's not forget our fodder over here. He needs to get 2 reds. But yes, we destroyed the armored car. The tank is almost dead. The grenadiers were almost dead, and we held on in round 7. So we get our 12th victory point. Didn't even need to play round 8. So there you go. That was Company of Heroes. Hope you had fun watching. And if you want to check out my review thoughts, look at the separate video that posted today. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.